We call that the drip line. They did horrible in here last year. A lot. Sorry, y'all. I feel like it was very productive. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. But today we are in the QuickTent greenhouse. If you're not new here, I've had this greenhouse for several years now. I want to say 3 or 4 years now. Love this greenhouse. What are we doing in here today? We're going to amend our beds. We're going to pull the plants. So listen, we have plants in here that I was just going to let stay. Now this kale or collards back here, it is going to stay. I'll show y'all in a minute. The stuff here, I'm going to go ahead and pull. Like this is a Brussels sprout. That's not going to do anything. I do not have time for that to do anything. It's actually 80 degrees in here right now, which means this is going to eventually bolt, right? I believe this is a cabbage. It's just not looking great. So the way I see it at this point is I can go ahead and amend these beds and get ready for the next planting, because my plan for these beds are zucchini before the first frost. Zucchini and squash. And we did that last year, and I started getting squash, zucchini more than squash, very early in the season. And if you're not new to gardening, you know that the squash vine board, if you live in an area where you get squash vine board, will be here before you know it. So my plan this year for squash and zucchini is to plant early, then let the summer go and do what the summer is going to do, and then plant late. The early planting is going to be in this greenhouse, mostly because I need it to be covered, and if we get a frost or something, we have some way to protect them, right? And then at the end of the season, we're going to do it in the green stalks. But both ways worked last year, and so that's what I'm doing again. So let me show you what we're pulling, and then I'm also going to tell you a little bit about QuickTent, because they are the sponsor of today's video, and I want to thank QuickTent for sponsoring this video. So like I said, this is collards or kale. I'm really not positive. Both of these are the same plants. We're definitely gonna leave these until they bolt or whatever. And then back here, this is a collard for sure, and we're gonna leave this as well. But what we're pulling are these plants right here. And see, look, you actually have little Brussels sprouts in there, but it's just not gonna have any time, and I guarantee you it's probably actually, yep, you see that? Already a flower in there. That's another flower. So we're just gonna go ahead, pull this stuff. This was a Katarina cabbage, and we have cabbage elsewhere in the garden, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this stuff. This has been here since fall, and it really didn't do anything, just kind of sat here. So in case you have not heard of QuickTent, QuickTent is a company that has things for people who garden, for people who homestead. They have chicken coops. This QuickTent greenhouse, this is a 12x7, perfect size for a small corner of your backyard. It has worked really well for me. We have a bee in here right now, y'all. The front of this you can roll up. There's also netting. My dog scratched the netting up very early when I got this, but if you don't have a dog that scratches it up, bugs and things can't get in. It also has windows on the side that is the same, so I could pull this up and roll this up, but it's a nice size. It has been here for, like I said, several years with no problems. But also, like, if you are throwing a party and you need a tent, QuickTent does that too. If you're interested, you can visit the link down in my description, and I want to thank QuickTent once again for sponsoring this video. So let's just go ahead and start pulling stuff, y'all. This soil, I don't know. Might need to add a little bit of soil in this bed. Oh, this soil is dry too. That's gonna be me. That's gonna be my fault. I have not been watering in here. All right, let's just get it out of here. I have some Burger BM6 up on the porch and some Happy Frog, so I might just go ahead and pour that in here too. If you remember, this is the bed we put the worms and worm castings in. I think it did help, but I think it still need a little extra work. I'm gonna give this to the chickens. They'll love it. They'll love it. I shall be right back. All right, so I'm back. I have my meal grinds too, because my plan for in here, because I don't have enough rabbit manure at this present moment, but my plan for in here are meal grinds and granulated fertilizer. I am not going to worry a lot about the straw that's on the top, but if you remember, I mulched with straw a little bit later in the season, so I don't want this all to go down in the bed. I'm gonna pour pull some of it back and just sit it on the ground right now, and we'll put it back in here. It's a good portion of it on the top that has not broken down. You know what? We'll do it like this so I don't put it on the ground. Then I just pull it off of that garden bed. This soil looks really good under here. Nice dark soil. The only bed I really have to work on is the biggest one in here. And what I'm guessing, y'all, oh, y'all crooked, I'm sorry. There we go. What I'm guessing is there's a lot of settling in that bed. I don't think I actually put logs in that bed. I feel like I put maybe garden waste under it. I'm really not sure. So I think it's a lot of settling. And so every time I add soil to it, it settles again. And now we just don't have a lot of soil in the bed. I don't know, honestly. But like I said, we have some Happy Frog and some Burger BM6. So we're gonna add that to that bed. Okay, everything's moving freely. We love that. We don't have any compaction. I'm happy with how this bed is right now. The reason why I'm doing this so early, I more than likely won't plant out the squash and zucchini in here until after the end of next week, because we have some freezes coming. We're gonna be like in the 20s, high 20s. I wanna get the meal grinds in the bed now so that they can start to break down. So by the time it's time for me to plant in here, they're no longer hot. If you remember last year, last fall, I did not let them sit long enough. And now let me be clear, nothing happened. No plant was burned. There was no problem. I just want to make sure it breaks down quickly, for one, because it's in a already hot greenhouse. So I don't know how that would go if it heated up and I put the plants in here. The other plants were out in the garden. So, and I'm not measuring, just adding some to it. This is the granulated fertilizer I use. Wow, so much dust. I have been saving my meal grinds all winter long. So I have the bucket that I'm sitting on, and then there's some in here too. This was my most recent one that I dumped, and I'm not really measuring that out either, but I'm not putting all of it in there. I hope y'all can see what I'm doing. Let me move you real quick. And so this right here had crab in it. It had onion peels because I ran some onions through the freeze dryer. All of this, you got stuff from the sea, which a lot of the soil has in it, and stuff from nature, stuff from the earth. That's what a lot of this one was. I remember it because it was recent. So I'm just gonna mix it in. So I'm just kind of mixing it in to the first few layers of the soil so that it can start to break down. When the soil and whatever amendment you use is mixed together and the soil is moist, that's when it starts to break down nicely. And that's what we want. We want this stuff to be available when we put the plants in here so it can start to feed it. Feel like we're good here, and we just gonna put the straw back over it, and when it's time to plant, we'll just move the straw to the side and we'll plant in here. I felt like I should amend this whole entire bed because it just didn't grow well for me last year, and they were new. When you put new soil in, sometimes, you know, it takes time to work on it to make it good soil. So I decided some meal grinds would be great because that's giving organic matter back to the soil, and then organic fertilizer, in my opinion, you can't really go wrong with adding that to your garden bed. It's so loud out here tonight, y'all. So that's one bed down, and we will water this. The soil wasn't super dry in here, but it wasn't like overly moist either. All right, so now we're gonna work on this small bed where, if you are not new here, you know I was saying I thought I was gonna get a taller bed, but then I decided I'm not going to. Last year, roselle grew really well in this greenhouse during the summer. This is where the one roselle plant that I am growing will go. I'm not growing a bunch of roselle. They get really, really big. Roselle or sorrel. I'm gonna put that in this bed with a zinnia. We'll see how that goes. And the reason why I didn't get a taller one is because last year it touched the ceiling. Now, what I will say, I feel like it's gonna end up like falling over. It's gonna be in the walkway when I come in. So I do need to figure that out. There is this trellis back here, but I think it would be a great spot spot, honestly. I think it would be a great spot to grow roselle. That's what we're going to do here. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and make sure we get things amended and get the soil fed. If you are new to gardening, there is this thing we say, feeding the soil, because the soil is going to feed the plant. In some cases, you know, we feed directly into the hole, and then other times we feed the whole bed and all of the soil. That's what I'm doing. If I find that I need to add more, or if something just doesn't seem like it is thriving, then I may come back and do what we call a side dressing or top dressing. It just means that they're going around the plant where the tip of the leaves are. So where the tip of the leaves are is where the water would fall. We call that the drip line. And so go around it, put some fertilizer or whatever amendment you want around the plant, and then when the water drips down, it will drip down and help that fertilizer to move through. And then there's a thing we call top dressing, where we just drop a fertilizer on the top of the soil, and then when it rains or when we water it, it will work itself through the soil as well. I know when I first started gardening, I was like, what in the world is a drip line? And I was just Googling and all kinds of stuff, and I finally realized what the drip line was. And the back of packages shows you sometimes what the drip line is too, fertilizing packages. But in case you like me and you like, what in the world is a drip line? That's what the drip line is. So this is what that bed is looking like. The soil really doesn't look bad at all. So I'm just guessing it was the heat, because we tried to grow tomatoes in here for sure last year. Didn't work well. Then we tried to do fall vegetables in here, and I don't think that was the heat as much as that was the lack of sun. But this greenhouse has grown early season for me very nicely. So that's what we're gonna try to do in here. This is about to be a zucchini and roselle or sorrel greenhouse. We're gonna go ahead and add our granulated all-purpose fertilizer. And then, whoa, that's not good. That broke. Some animal is gonna come find that. I'm just saying that has never happened with these meal grinds. Oh, you know the other thing I'm gonna do sometime this week is harvest my worm castings. I have worm castings that's ready to go, and I'm gonna harvest them. And we'll start using those for the plant, using that for the planting hole too. Maybe if we're lucky, I'll start to be able to use the stuff that I made here on the homestead to fertilize and feed more than I use store purchase. Now, the thing is, I'm probably always gonna buy an organic granulated. The extra stuff, if I can get the things that I'm making to work for me, maybe not. Like the bone meal, blood meal, that kind of stuff, maybe not. If I could get this to work for me. At this point, I don't have a compost pile. I don't know that I won't do some kind of composting again. The reason why I say that is because we use paper towels. Every time I put paper towels in the trash, I cringe, y'all. And yes, I know I could just like tear them up and bring them outside, but at the same time, that would be a lot of tearing and putting them under the soil. And now that we have a smaller footprint essentially for the chickens, I probably could figure out a way to put a compost pile that's more accessible, because that was a big deal for me. Like, it's not accessible in this corner, and then I just stopped wanting to do it. I may be able to do something over there, so we'll see. I'm not saying that I'm doing that. I'm not saying that I'm not either though. All right, that bed is done. We're not gonna worry about the bed that has the collards and the kale in it. I really just want them to continue to grow. We have time for that. I'm not planting the roselle or the zinnia early, but since the bed was not in use, I figured I might as well go ahead and get it done. I might have planted some tomatoes early. We don't have no tomatoes ready. The way that I started those tomatoes much later, so I didn't have to fight with large tomatoes this year, I think that I'm very happy about that idea. But the point is, we don't have any ready right now. Whenever we do, I'll probably plant some of those early too, and it'll be the patio variety. They did really good in here last year. I would not try indeterminates again. They did horrible in here last year. The patio variety, which is like a shorter variety, and they give you larger than cherry sized tomatoes, but not like big slicers. So we might put some of those in here. But for now, I'm just trying to get ready for my zucchini. We'll start zucchini at the 2 week before our last frost mark, and then we'll get those planted out. Last bed we're gonna do tonight, and I'm truly just very like, what do I do with this this bed. Now, granted, this bed grew very well for me. It's the settling. I keep adding, but it just keeps settling. So that's one of the things you got to think about when you are using, I want to say it's like hugelkultur is what it's called, where you're adding things at the bottom that's not soil, because it's going to break down and it's going to settle. And that's what I'm dealing with here. And I don't know if it's because this bed is so big, because I've done that with other beds. This one just keeps settling every year. So, all right, y'all, get to work on this bed right here. A lot of this is straw on the top, if I'm honest. But yeah, we're gonna grab whatever soil we have, and then I'll just run and get more. And I only use really the Burger BM6 for things like this and my green stalks. And the reason why I use Burger BM6, because I know people thinking that I found Happy Frog, that's what I'm gonna start using in my green stalks. I am not, because I don't want to have to lug like 4 bags. I don't know how many bags it takes. I'm just gonna be honest, but I don't want to lug 4 bags when I could lug 1 big bag that's gonna fill it up, and I'm gonna have some left. So I'm not gonna use Happy Frog for the green stalks, because it's just easier for me to use Burger BM6. But I will use Happy Frog for other things, because I did like it. The other thing is Burger BM6 is very light, and I just add amendments to it. It's an all-purpose mix is what it says. I don't know what it has in it or what it doesn't, but my green stalks have flourished pretty much every year since I got, well, since last year with that soil. And so that's the soil that I'm gonna use. Yeah, there's a lot of straw in here. A lot. Sorry, y'all. This is what grew the zucchini last year, and this is also what grew the tomatoes, like almost straight until our first frost. But I got tired of them, so I pulled them out. They grew really well in here. I'm also very new to growing in greenhouses, right? I'm learning, y'all. We learning this together. And last year, I learned a few things. We learning together. All right, let's put whatever soil we can find in here. Now, I'm not seeing any of the worms, but it's quite possible they are all the way at the bottom where the stuff is that they can break down and eat. Who knows? Here, there's ants in here too, which there's always ants, literally always ants. We'll work around them for now. They're not in here like y'all remember normally this time of year, I'm putting up a video about me fighting ants in here. That didn't happen this year, and maybe it's because we got all garden beds in here this year. I don't know, but yeah. And I'm happy because I was not trying to fight ants this year. All right, I'll be right back. I'm about to go grab this soil. So let me show you the Burger BM6, which I'm sure I've shown before. Like I said, I doubt it has much in it, but like that's nice and light and loamy. And I can just add things to it that I want to. That is what I do for my green stalks, and now for this garden bed, because I had it left over. Hopefully we can see less settling. And I'm also, like I said, gonna throw that Happy Frog in here. And I didn't do this to the other beds because we didn't have so much settling. All right, be right back. All right, so this is just about a whole bag, but we'll have to go and get some more because I still have seeds I need to start. This is also a nice light loamy soil. It does have some wood pieces in it. Not huge, but there are wood pieces in it. I just prefer to use the Burger BM6. That is what it is. And this soil didn't look bad either once I pulled all this straw back. And in case you're interested, the straw I use is from Tractor Supply. It's called Straw Boss, B-O-S-S. And now we just need to put our straw back. And in case you're new here, the reason why I use straw, help with erosion, which is not a big deal in the greenhouse because it's not gonna be getting rained on, but it's also to help keep the soil cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and it helps me because I can't see if the soil looks dry. So I actually have to use my finger so that I don't overwater. Because overwatering, in case you're new here, is a problem of mine, but it's okay. Got some more over here. Some of this we probably gonna end up taking and putting inside because I mulch really heavily for the winter. I have a box because I took a lot of the straw off of the green stalks too. So I have a box where we will absolutely reuse it. We're not throwing it away. Whew. All right, so I went ahead and cleaned up. We about to water in here and then we're about to call it an evening, y'all. I feel like it was very productive. All right, well, the QuickTent greenhouse is ready for planting, except for that bed, but we'll get that later. We're gonna let those things continue to grow. They're leafy greens, so why not just let them grow, harvest them, and use them as I like. But yeah, this greenhouse is ready to go, ready for spring planting. That's one of the things you can do when we're having these false spring days where we know that the cool weather is coming. You can get a jump start on things like this, y'all. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.